days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Welcome to the show. Are you ready?
Or not ready? Or what's happening? What's happening with the 49ers quarterback situation? And what is going on?
Well, I think there's a lot of different opinions on whether Trey Lance is ready or not.
What makes you think that?
Probably because everyone and their mother has something to say about Trey Lance, whether you're a booger or you're the greatest quarterback of all time. Anyway, everyone is talking about Trey. And whether or not he's ready to be the starting quarterback.
You didn't mean like a person who eats boogers. You meant
I meant Booger. Anthony McFarland.
Oh, Anthony.
Or Booger, as he's referred to. Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
It reminds me of Revenge of the Nerds.
It's very true, and it does remind me of Revenge of the Nerds, but it also is a friendly reminder that everyone has an opinion on this situation. Whether you're someone who's extremely invested in the 49ers or whether you're just a commentator. I did enjoy one tweet I saw out there, and it says, "No news to talk about? Don't worry." And then someone holds out a button that says, 49ers quarterback situation. And then someone comes over and smashes the button. It's like, it's always a story. And it's true. As of right now, it is always a story. It'll always be something that people can talk about. What is happening with this situation? Is Trey QB1 going into the next season? Where are they moving Jimmy Garoppolo? Is it Tom Brady? Is it Aaron Rodgers? Is there another option? It seems to be the focal point and the biggest discussion and biggest conversation point right now around this team is, what are you doing going forward? What are you doing at this position? And is Trey the guy? Is he ready to be the guy going forward for this team? Look, it's a very heated conversation. It's a very interesting conversation. Let's dive into it. Let's have fun with it, Ant, because why would we run from this? I'm not going to.
I ain't going to hide either.
Oh, I like it.
I'm going to find you. No. But anyways, when it comes down to Trey Lance, I think the first thing to look at is starting with the exit interviews. You know what I mean? And what was said to him, and the fact that they didn't tell him he was starting quarterback. Number one, that draws questions about whether he's ready or not. I think everyone understands that. The other part, that goes into the whole process of Trey Lance being ready is we have people, and prominent people in 49ers land, that say 100% Trey Lance is ready. They know he's ready. And then we have people on the other side that say 100% they know that Trey Lance isn't ready. And I'm sitting there in the middle like, how do either one of y'all know if Trey Lance is ready or not? You can't tell me that the second half of the Texans game means he's 100% ready. That'd be like the equivalent of me telling you Jimmy Garoppolo's New Orleans game makes me know he's an elite quarterback in this league. You can't just cherry pick one thing that you saw. You have to see it consistently. So I'm saying right now that I don't know. And even Trey Lance himself has said, when they asked him, are you going to be ready to be the starting are you ready to be the starting quarterback? And he said, I will be ready by the time the season starts. So even he, by his own phrasing, has admitted maybe he's not 100% ready to start yet.
He's at least admitted that he's not ready right now.
He's a smart guy.
He's not dumb.
No.
He also wouldn't be wrong. He's not ready right now, because if he was ready right now, he would have been the starter in the playoffs. He would have been the starter after the Week 17 game. But the reality of the situation is just this, right? Is he ready right now? No. Is he not ready? No. He's neither of those things. He right now, right, and he's Schrodinger's cat is what he is. We don't know what he is. Is he in the box? Is he alive? Is he not? Is he the starting quarterback? Is he not? No one knows. He is the epitome of Schrodinger's cat and that whole theory and ideology. If you don't know anything about Schrodinger's cat, I will talk about it with you over on Patreon. Don't worry about it. But it's the idea and the concept and the notion that there's a cat in a box and you don't know if that cat is alive or not. You're not allowed to hear the cat. You're not allowed to listen, but you place a cat in a box, you hand it to somebody. At any point in time, they can open the box and find out for sure, is the cat living or is the cat dead? But until you open the box and take a look, you have no idea, because there's not supposed to be any other extential clues outside the box that hint you in or clue you in on that fact. That's essentially the quarter.
Can you hold the box?
You're not allowed to hold the box. You're allowed to look at the box, and you're not allowed to know what's going on.
What if the box moves?
I mean, obviously, if the box moves, then you know it's alive, right? You know something's going on inside said box.
I'm just saying.
Cat's trying to get out of said box, most likely. the point I'm trying to make here is that no one knows with certainty either way, like you said, whether or not Trey is the guy or not. You can post 5-second edited out of context clips on Twitter all you want, but at the end of the day, those clips show a moment in time. It's not an argument for or against, just like Jimmy Garoppolo putting up huge numbers against the Saints isn't a for or against. Jimmy Garoppolo getting the team to a Super Bowl and then, not making a throw in the fourth quarter is not a knock for or against him one way or the other. Moments are in the moment, right? They may give you a better insight and gleam into what the person could be or what they currently are, but it's not a linchpin for anything. Tom Brady, you don't linchpin one Super Bowl for the reason why he's in the conversation of one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. It's all of them. All of those moments lead into the conversation. If he doesn't win those other moments in those other situations at those time points in his career, you're not having that conversation. It's all, the NFL and sports in general. It's supposed to be a meritocracy, right? It's supposed to be about what you've done and what you're going to continue to do going forward. It's all about what your production is. If Trey Lance doesn't continue to perform and produce and develop and grow, which I think you and I think is an impossibility at this point in time based on what we've seen and how much growth we've saw from OTA to training camp to Cardinals, Arizona, his first start, to the Texans start, it's improbable for him to not continue to get better. Trey Lance has to be sitting there thinking, it's improbable for me to get better. I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing, and eventually I'm going to be the guy. Do I think that he could be ready by the time we get to week 1? 100%. But do I need to see it happen first before I throw all the eggs in the Trey Lance is ready basket? Yes. And anyone that's putting those eggs in that basket right now and just immediately saying to themselves, that was a wonderful intro video. Are we professional YouTubers?
Interesting that the ringtone is also the theme song for the show.
Was that my Wrap It Up box?
No.
I think it was my Wrap It Up box. It's fine if it was.
Apologies, everyone.
Hey, it's fine. It happens to the best of us. And the worst of us. But the reality of the situation is with Trey Lance, right, in this whole situation, he could be that guy. But we won't know until those opportunities present itself. And I hate to break it to 49ers fans, and I hate to break it to talking heads talking about the 49ers quarterback situation. He's not going to have a chance to prove himself until OTAs and training camp, which means anyone making decisions or deciding beforehand, if their name isn't John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, or John Beck, who's going to be working with him, are just talking out of their behind.
When it comes to Trey Lance's readiness, there's going to be little things along the way that are going to tell us if he's ready or not.
Bingo.
I think it's kind of impossible to know right now. I think Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch and this coaching staff have an idea of where he's going to be. They all understand that he needs to have some
schemers.
Yeah, they have some ideas of things and that he needs to accomplish. Right, when they got to the exit interview, they gave him a list, a set of things they wanted him to accomplish in the offseason. He knows what those things are. He took a week off and he's hitting the ground running. He's getting back to work because we know that Trey Lance wants to be great. That is something I can say about him with entirety, with truth, that he wants to be great. He said it himself. So I know he's going to put in the work, but there's going to be things along the way that are going to give us an idea. One of those things is if the 49ers don't get another quarterback, if they don't go out and get Tom Brady, if they don't get out, sign a free agent that they believe could potentially be a bridge starter as well, then those are going to be signals, right, that Trey Lance is ready to go. The things that Kyle Shanahan will say along the way will also illustrate if Trey Lance is ready to go. I think there's going to be film and things that come off during the offseason. The one thing I will caution everyone is we all know, and this is why I made the tweet, I said when the videos came out from Javier Vega, I said in a shocking development, Trey Lance is very, very talented.
Stunned.
I was being sarcastic because we all know Trey can do all these great things with his arm. That's not the question.
Moving to his left, throwing with velocity across his body over the top of the defender was not something on my can Trey Lance do list. That was a Trey Lance can do that.
Yeah, he's got elite traits. I mean, those are things that are elite. It's can he run the offense, play in and play out. And the thing is when you have a Super Bowl ready caliber football team, this is the same thing Kansas City went with Patrick Mahomes. So in that area, I will kind of put those and compare those together. They're different players, but the situations are similar. You're moving on from a veteran quarterback, a quarterback that took you a long way, including an NFC championship game the year before. Those are all parallels between the two. You've had limited action from Patrick Mahomes. You had limited action from Trey Lance.
Significantly less action for Trey Lance than Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes was not able to read defenses. In fact, his full year as a starter where he threw 50 touchdowns, he did not read defenses. He's came out and said as much. When you're playing for Kyle Shanahan, You don't have that ability. The way that Kyle Shanahan schemes things up, you have to understand by what the defense is doing, what players are going to be open, and then you have to go through that progression and get them the football. Those are the areas I don't know because I haven't seen. I seen him in training camp. I seen him make all the tremendous throws that proved he has the talent to be better than Jimmy Garoppolo day one. That is entirely accurate. And those areas, everyone that was saying it was right. The problem was when we got to move the ball situations in training camp, there was a difference between what Jimmy Garoppolo did and what Trey Lance did. When you got into going through play in and play out and reading the different defense and finding the appropriate receiver, his production slowed down and he started to struggle and balls started to go into the dirt. We saw progressions in the season. Those are all making me optimistic. But to say that he's ready to start or not, I don't know. If we get to training camp and we get out there again and he's doing all the things that he needs to do, and now when he's on the ball, he understands what he's looking at, he's going the directions he needs to go with the football, then we know he'll be ready. And I think them not signing a quarterback is going to give a good signal to that.
100%. I think that would be the first signal, right? That Trey Lance is most likely going to be quarterback one. If free agency comes and goes and the Niners don't make a move, they don't bring in an Aaron Rodgers, they don't bring in a Tom Brady, there's no move being made, then that means the Niners think that this guy's close, like really stupidly close to being there. And I think that would be the number one, the first telling sign that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan believe this guy's going to be ready. Number two, I think the next most important thing is going to be OTAs. What do they have in him do in OTAs? Because yes, he's going to come in and go through the base just like everybody does in OTAs because that's what it's for. But how quickly did they move him through the base stuff that he worked on last year as a rookie and get him into other things and working on other aspects? Yeah, there's going to be install and things like that they're going through and putting in the simple stuff, and people may be going at that time, why are you having him go through the motions? You do it every year in OTAs. That's what you do. But there will be time off script when media is not available and around that they're going to be putting in other things and going through other stuff. And I think that will make them feel better too, because I think you and I believe, truly, Tom Brady isn't off the table until the Niners don't want Tom Brady on the table. Because if he is retired and only wants to play for San Francisco, then if they decide, 3 weeks before training camp starts that they're going to go make the move for Tom Brady, then that's what they'll end up doing, and that'll be the guy. And that may be the option, right? That may be the route that the Niners take, is a situation with Trey where they're going to give him all the first team reps. They're going to give him their full attention and get themselves as close to training camp as humanly possible before they make a decision. I think that's the least likely scenario. Yeah. But if they think Trey's close, that could end up happening as well.
Yeah, there's a lot that plays into it for sure.
Correct.
I mean, the first inclination, right, is John Lynch is going to speak to the media at the Combine. The Wednesday before the Combine, he's going to be available and he's going to have a conversation, and let's see what he says. If he comes out, there's going to be somebody. Guarantee somebody's going to ask about Tom Brady.
No way.
Yeah.
And no one would dare.
If he completely slams the door and says, no, Trey is our guy, we're ready to move forward with Trey Lance, he's the guy we're going with, then I think you can start thinking, okay, this is it. Now, if he says, no, I'm not really going to talk about any quarterbacks, we're happy with Trey Lance, then I think he's leaving the door open. Some of his phrasing is going to be very important. He's going to be coached up on this. The PR department's going to make sure he knows exactly what to say, because I do think they'd like to leave doors open just in case. You don't want to slam the door, especially because you made the decision to not go with Tom Brady 2 years ago. Tom Brady was definitely miffed, and you don't want to miff him again if there is a potential pairing where you want to bring him back. Now, if you believe that Trey Lance is the guy and you're ready to move forward with him, absolutely slam the door on Tom Brady. Let everyone know right now that Trey Lance is your guy. You know what? It's not going to happen. Well, part of the reason is they still need trade value for Jimmy Garoppolo. Accurate. They're not going to slam the door on anything. So they're going to tell you, we like Trey. We like him a lot. We like his potential.
Oh, we love Trey. His development is incredible. He's come so far in such a short amount of time. We're really excited to see what he does.
But, we have a really great quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo, too. And he's very talented. He did a lot for this football team. That's going to be the message, because they need to make sure there's still value for Jimmy Garoppolo, and the Combine is where they're going to decide what that value is, probably. They're going to talk to a lot of teams. We'll see. But I think Trey's readiness no longer has anything to do with Jimmy Garoppolo. I think the Jimmy
Garoppolo ship has sailed.
Yeah, I think so. So
just a matter of where it's docking.
But just because somebody says Trey Lance is ready or not ready doesn't mean it's true. The one thing the comments, because we got to talk about some of the comments. Steve Young, of course, commented during the season that Trey Lance needed to play. He's kind of recanted and said Trey Lance is raw. He needs time. He wasn't ready. Now,
does Steve watch the show?
I don't know, but people gave us a lot of credit for saying that maybe Steve needed to be quiet about the situation. But
we did get a lot of credit.
Joe Montana got absolutely dragged on Twitter for saying that Trey Lance wasn't ready, And I thought the interesting part was not Joe giving an opinion like, I don't think he's ready, because he said he made the mistake of saying bring Jimmy Garoppolo back.
He did
that was
make
a mistake.
that mistake.
If he'd have just made the comment about Trey, would have got dragged less. But he got ultimately just skinned alive because he said that about Jimmy. But the thing I thought was interesting, he said, I believe after talking to other players. So does that mean there are players within the 49ers organization that believe Trey maybe isn't quite there yet? It doesn't mean he's not going to get there, right? Maybe that is why people are saying he's not quite there. Maybe there's an internal conversation amongst players and personnel. And we got to remember, Deebo Samuel said he wanted the 49ers to win the Super Bowl. He wanted that decision for the 49ers to move on from Jimmy to be very difficult to do.
They love Jimmy Garoppolo in the locker room.
They really do.
They don't want to see him go, but they understand that he has to.
Yeah.
Right? Just like you and I have known, and the thing that I've struggled with most, I don't want Jimmy to leave this organization. I don't want Jimmy to leave this team. Not for any other reason other than what Jimmy has meant to this roster and what he's been for this team and what he brought with him when he came. Because he brought winning and an aura and a feeling of hope that we hadn't seen, post Jim Harbaugh era. We went from the highs, the ridiculously high highs of Jim Harbaugh to the lows of his last year, and then like rock bottom almost immediately afterwards. I wasn't ready to go back to that. I wasn't ready to go back to rebuilding for the next. I remember, in fact, the day they moved on from Harbaugh, I looked at my brother and said, 10 years. We got potentially a 10-year rebuild. Because I don't see how. I don't see how we're not going to have it. We got a meat sweat gentleman who fought to impress conferences right now. How is it not a 10-year rebuild? That's what it felt like. Now, didn't end up being 10 years, but ended up being a nice chunk of time that I wish I would have had back as a 49er fan. Preferred not to have the Chip Kelly era and preferred not to have the Tom Lasula era. Preferred to just been in the Kyle Shanahan era that entire time, or just stuck it out through the Harbaugh years, wherever long that would have been. But look, at the end of the day, I don't want Jimmy to have to go. But it's the reality of the situation, right? With the cap room we have, everything that happened with COVID and the cap number coming down, and Jimmy Garoppolo's cap hit, and what it is, and his health, and his availability, and what his limitations are as a quarterback. When we brought him in 2017, you thought maybe the ceiling was higher. I think we've all seen what the ceiling is. And as much as it's helped us get to the point where we've won football games and been able to be in a Super Bowl and get to the NFC Championship game in 2 of the last 3 years, can we get over the hump with it? I don't believe we can anymore. I think we've seen what the peak is of his performance, and I think there are options out there that can be better than that and would help the team dramatically in other areas. And I think Trey is one of those guys who can help get you there. But he's not ready to necessarily get you there. He wasn't ready to get you there last year. Can he be ready to get you there this year? I think in certain areas, yes. I think there are certain things that he does and adds that are different. But, for all of the great drives and the big throws that Trey has made for the 49ers already, there have been plenty of drives that have stalled out and he's missed wide open receivers. Same as Jimmy Garoppolo has done.
Yeah, he's a young guy. I mean, he really is. I think, it's been an arms race. There was arms races all throughout the 90s, especially.
Accurate.
The 49ers just always had the quarterbacks. I mean, they always had the right guys, to pull the trigger when they had Joe and they had Steve. But eventually they had to make a decision to be able to compete with Dallas. They went all in and won a Super Bowl. They have that sort of thing going right now between the Rams. The Seahawks have $38 million to spend. They're going to be back. Arizona Cardinals, started out the season again, playing really well. Maybe they'll figure it out. Maybe Kyler Murray will get them over the hump. He hasn't proven it yet.
Or maybe we'll go play baseball.
But they have a complete arms race going on. And the 49ers went out last year in the draft, and that's why they traded 2 first-round picks and then swapped another one to get Trey Lance, because they knew that they needed that guy. They needed that elite guy. Jimmy Garoppolo is not an elite player. He has a couple elite traits, but it's not enough to get over the hump. And we've seen what that hump is. They're so close. They need that guy to get him over the hump. And if that is Trey Lance, then we got our guy. We're ready to roll. I mean, we got the Terminator for the next 15 years. This guy's going to go take care of business. And if not, then we need to make sure we get a guy for right now. That's what I've said. And you've brought up a good point. But Kyle Shanahan and these guys, they're about who's the best right now. They want the best players right now. That level of competition is what breeds great football teams. You don't let somebody have the spot because they've proven it in the past. You want somebody to go out there and take it. And I think this young lion wants to go take it. I think Trey really does.
I agree with you.
He's going to put everything he's got into it. But when it comes down to it, if he's able to roll, this team is going to be better with him than with Jimmy Garoppolo, because they have the confidence in him. Because I don't think Kyle would move forward with Trey Lance if he didn't believe he was a better option than Jimmy Garoppolo moving into the next season. So I think that's really what it comes down to. Kyle is the ultimate signal of Trey's readiness, because this is his guy. It
Oh,
came
man.
out. John Lynch said this is 100% Kyle Shanahan's guy. He fell in love with him. He liked him. He wanted him to be the quarterback.
Well, I just love how the narrative has changed also for a lot of people. Let's not forget that on draft day, well, not on draft day, but post draft day, there were a lot of people talking about how Kyle was pressured into taking Trey Lance, that he wanted Mac Jones. Those same people are saying that Rich Scangarello left because he wanted Mac Jones and Kyle Shanahan wanted Trey Lance. So these same people can't seem to make up their mind in terms of what it actually is. I think the truth is just that Kyle sees what Trey could be, what Trey could do for his system, what Trey could do for the offense, what he could do for this team. And that's why you made the move up. And people can sit there and say all you want. Well, if he was going to be a guy that needed to sit for a year or two, why would you give up all that capital? It's because if you didn't, someone else was going to.
Well, and you can look ahead, right? Adam Peters and that staff looked ahead at this draft and said, there's not a quarterback. We might not get close to 12 again. This might be our opportunity to go pounce and get a big-time quarterback because there's not one in the next draft. We can't wait. Jimmy Garoppolo's contract is coming up. He's often injured. We need to make a move now. So they make it a calculated risk to go up and get a quarterback that they believed in the next 5 years, not in the next year, the next 2 years, but in the next 5 years could potentially take them to a Super Bowl. That's what it was all about, winning a Super Bowl on a rookie pay scale. So they made a calculated risk. And this is when you trust, the guys around you. And Kyle Shanahan, made a move. It's in the end, I mean, it's all going to be eventually hindsight, right? We're all going to be looking back on it. And if they win a Super Bowl, it was the right move. And if they don't, maybe it's not. But in the same way, when one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time is sitting out there and the potential what he can do, for your football team, it has to at least leave that door open. It doesn't mean that Trey Lance isn't ready, or
that he's done anything wrong.
No, it doesn't. And it doesn't mean that sitting a second year will be catastrophic to his development.
Listen, I've been a firm believer that the more time that Trey Lance has to get comfortable and familiar with the system, get comfortable and familiar with NFL defenses, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face, and I don't care how many people hate on it. I don't care how many people say that I'm just not a Trey supporter and that I'm a Jimmy stan or whatever it may be. Look, I want.
Are you a Jimmy sexual?
No, I'm not one of those. I unfortunately didn't make the list.
Rich Madrid made the list, and he is definitely not a Jimmy.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Rich Madrid made that list?
61, I believe. Yeah.
And we didn't.
I know.
Rich Madrid's on that list, and I'm not.
I know. I'm kind of disappointed.
If Rich Madrid's in the top 60, that would mean I should be in the top 15.
Yeah, you're pretty close to a Jimmy stan, I got to admit.
I'm on the borderline.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people who didn't want to see him go, but understands that he needs to.
Did you watch Trey Lance's interview with Rich Eisen? Did you get a chance to check that out?
No, I didn't watch it.
It's a fantastic interview. There is nothing about Trey Lance that doesn't make you absolutely want to root for him and want him to do well.
Love him.
The guy is spectacular. I mean, really is.
He's just a good person.
Yeah, he's a good dude, and he's a good football player. I'm excited about eventually, him being the starting quarterback. I just don't know when that's going to be. And his readiness is not going to be determined by what anyone says on Twitter, what anyone says on YouTube.
You mean, hold on, you mean 5-second Twitter videos aren't good?
It's going to come down to his development during the offseason with John Beck and what Kyle Shanahan believes is the best situation for his team to go win a Super Bowl. Because we know John Lynch doesn't turn down $15 million contracts to come back unless he believes a Super Bowl is something that he can attain. He's a competitive dude. He doesn't want to lose Super Bowls. He wants to win them. So I think that all this signals to the 49ers are preparing to go in. If he's the kryptonite for all these other teams, then it's going to be Trey Lance. If he's not, it could be somebody else. They might reach out for somebody else. We'll see. But I don't think the readiness is going to be determined by anyone that talks on Twitter, YouTube, writes an article.
Not us either.
No, we definitely don't determine that. Okay. I think we can give assessments as we're watching him in training camp, which we will. We'll give assessments. Remember, you were a Jimmy stan. Yet when we got to training camp, you said, with unequivocally, he's one of the best deep throwers I've seen.
Yeah. I mean, look, I was the one saying there is no world in which Trey Lance is the starting quarterback for the 49ers. And then we went to the first training camp practice. I was like, and I don't think I've ever seen someone throw a deep ball that good.
Yeah.
This young. That is crazy. And I played with Cody Vaz, who I thought for a long time was one of the greatest deep ball throwers that I had ever played with.
Nice name drop.
You're welcome, Cody.
For everyone who doesn't know who Cody Vaz is, Oregon State starting quarterback for a few years when Mannion was there, believe it or not. Yeah.
Mannion went down with an injury and he let him do a bowl game.
Yeah.
I lost that bowl game, but he still played very well. But anyway, that's beside the point, because the point was I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I couldn't wrap my head around it. I knew he had a strong arm. You saw it in all the college film, and I saw it in his pro day. Him and Zach Wilson had two of the more impressive pro days throwing the football and slinging that thing downfield. it was like, okay, well, this is nice. This is really good. I'm excited about that. And then I watched it in person. I was like, I mean, that every single one of them is on a dime. I mean, he just puts it in the breadbasket, perfectly placed on the outside shoulder. He doesn't miss inside on the deep throw. I was like, that's a problem. That's a problem for Jimmy. I don't know if Jimmy can do that every single throw. It feels like Trey doesn't miss on those. And then we watch some of the intermediate middle throws, and it's like, oh, okay, well, there it is. There's the not the flaw, but there's the chink in the armor, right? There's the thing that he's working on right now and developing as a quarterback. He's being able to make those intermediate throws. And then we saw him missing throws to open guys, and it's like, okay, well, he is unwilling at times to take the check down, or he just doesn't know where to go with the football yet. He's not comfortable reading defenses. And it's like, okay, well, that makes me think that, yeah, Jimmy's going to be the guy right now. Because, part of being a quarterback in the NFL isn't just being able to make the off-schedule plays. Those are nice. It's being able to get your team in and out of the right calls. And in the Kyle Shanahan system, which is not simple by any means, it is extremely complex. You got to be able to check in and out of the right place. You got to put the team in the best decision and best place to execute. Because there's some times where Kyle is calling plays and wants you to get the ball out on time to a certain guy. And if you don't do those things, he's going to find someone who will. Because he knows if you can do those things, then a team has to respect those. And when a team respect those things consistently, is we're trying to take those things away, then when they do, then the off-schedule stuff leads to the impressive deep ball, stuff that you don't expect to see, because a team comes down so hard on something knowing that you want to put the ball there, you're able to buy some time, someone slips out, and all of a sudden, home run.
Well, what you're expecting is Trey Lance to do the things Jimmy did and more.
Correct.
And right away, Jimmy Garoppolo is one of those guys that gets the ball out on schedule and gets it to his receivers. If Trey Lance is able to do that, then he's already a non-starter. He's the starting quarterback. He's already a better option than Jimmy Garoppolo right away, because that means he can do what Jimmy can do. Plus, that means when the play breaks down and Jimmy gets sacked or has to throw the ball away, Trey doesn't get sacked. He gets outside the pocket
and throws a pick
and makes a big play. So I think that is what you're looking at. If he can get the on-schedule throws down and he can understand what he's seeing in Kyle Shanahan's offense and how the defense is going to respond to it, then Trey Lance will be ready. And that's when we'll know he's ready, is when they're like, no, he's our quarterback. Like, we're good to go. So we'll see. Well, it's going to be fun to listen to what John Lynch has to say at the Combine. It's going to be fun to see what happens, during training camp and ultimately free agency if they decide to bring someone in, because let's be honest. If they bring in Tom Brady, it's definitely a signal that Trey Lance isn't quite ready.
Or just isn't at a point where they think he can lead them to a Super Bowl quite yet. And that
would mean he's not quite ready.
Yeah, and that's A-okay by me, because, I'm not going to get off this. Yeah. Trey's either going to prove me wrong, or I'm going to end up being right about Trey Lance. I would prefer to be proved wrong by Trey Lance and his performance and his production. I've said I thought he needed 2 to 3 years before I thought he was going to be at that point where he could take this team to a Super Bowl. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that if the Niners are rolling with him this year, that we get to a Super Bowl and win it right now. I will eat my shirt on the podcast reaction show. We'll eat it if that happens. And that's not to say that I don't think it'll happen. I think 100% will. I think Trey Lance has the potential to do that. But I haven't seen it yet to a point where I'm like, yeah, I know that's a certainty. Yeah, I'm 100% confident with that. I'm not 100% confident. It's 50-50. It can go either way at this point with Trey Lance with me. Either we're going to get to a playoffs and make a deep run with Trey, or he could have some struggles as a second-year quarterback coming into the league and have a sophomore slump, and the Niners can miss the playoffs. I mean, every possibility is on the table with Trey Lance, because we just haven't seen enough of it to know one way or the other what it's going to be. We all know what it could be, but when something is a could, when it's not a certainty, when you're not operating with facts and the appropriate knowledge to make it an appropriate decision, then anything could happen. Anything's possible.
I'm very optimistic about what Trey Lance could do.
Agreed.
I'm one of those ones that believed it was going to be 1 year with Jimmy Garoppolo, and then you're going to move on to Trey Lance.
You did.
I still think that is the most likely scenario. I just think that
all signs point to it.
All signs do, and I think the only thing that's different is that you got Tom Brady just lingering out there. And I know he said he's retired, and some people are like, he retired. Why are you even talking about it? I'm like, did he though? I mean, when it comes to retirements, it's one of those things where these guys come back all the time. And he literally went on a podcast within 2 days and left the door open. Like, yeah, I don't know how I'm going to feel in 6 months. Like, to me, that is not a guy that's definitely retired. So I think the door is open. There's all other kinds of things that go along with that. Would Tampa Bay be willing to trade him? Are the 49ers even interested in bringing in a 44-year-old quarterback? All those things are going to play into it, but it's none of that is determining Trey Lance's readiness.
Would you rather lose with Trey Lance and or win with Tom Brady?
I want to win always. We know this. I said this last year. I want to win with Jimmy. I want to win with Trey. I want to win with Tom. I don't care who it is.
Clown.
Whoever it is as starting quarterback, that's who if Nate Sudfeld needed to come in and win the Super Bowl, I'll be perfectly fine with that. You think the Eagles are going to give back the Nick Foles Super Bowl because it wasn't Carson Wentz? No, you don't care who it is. You take the Super Bowl.
You take the folk hero and Nick Foles, man. Yeah. You take the moment.
That's officially a Stan comment. When you say you would rather lose with someone than win with someone else, complete Stan comment.
Oh, you don't actually, I don't think you actually care about the football team. I think you like one guy.
Well, and also you just want to be right about somebody.
That too.
It's not about that. It's about being objective. It's about observing your football team. And then as a coach, you have to make the decisions that's best for your football team. Even if other people don't understand it or don't want it to happen.
Well, and as commentators, right? As people who talk about the football team or talk about a player or talk about a team, you're going to have takes. You're going to be right on some things. You're going to be wrong on some things. But if the focus is how right you are and not about, just putting things out there based on what you're seeing and how you're seeing and calling it how you see it, and then being able to be honest and about your assessment and see where you made mistakes, you're not going to grow. And not only you're not going to grow, you're going to continue to be wrong about certain things and right about other things, but you're never going to start finding that consistency of understanding what's going on. That's what we're trying to accomplish here. It's not about the things we get right. It's about what we did, what we saw that got us to this point where you hit, right? Where you were in your headspace, Ant, where you knew that Chase Claypool was a guy who could be the guy that you thought he was going to be coming out of that draft. Being where we were and having the reaction we had on draft day with Trey Sermon, where we weren't convinced that this was going to be something that was going to work for the 49ers, and we didn't see how it could be. We thought this was a down-the-road thing, that maybe a year or two, Trey Sermon could be a guy that could put in, but we didn't see it this year. We got told how wrong we were by everybody on draft day, post-draft day, 3 months after draft day, OTAs, training camp. We were wrong. This was going to be RB1, if not RB2, RB1B. And then he barely saw the field. We've been right on things. We've been wrong on things. We never thought Aaron Banks was going to be a guy or an option for this team at any point in time whatsoever. And we may be right or we may be wrong on Trey Lance, but at the end of the day, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch are going to make sure that whatever decision's made is the one that's right for the 49ers right now. And is Trey Lance ready right now? No, there's nothing that makes you say that. Is he not ready? No. He's Trey Lance. We're going to find out what he is come OTAs.
Yeah, there's no way to know if he's ready or not.
John Beck will know.
Yeah. But I mean, how much improvement is he gonna make in this offseason? Because you might walk in day one and John Beck's like, this ain't gonna be ready. But 2 months from now, it could be like, okay, this guy improved so much, he's gonna be ready. I just think there's no way to know right now. It's way too early. It's
stupidly early. But Cutback Crew, let us know what you think. Are we way off base here? Trey Lance is 1,000% ready, and we're just not willing to admit that he is, which would be silly because you said he was going to be the starting quarterback this upcoming season, and so you would think you, of all people, would jump on the Trey Lance is 100% ready train, and yet you're staying right here in the middle because you don't have the information to make it. Or, Cutback Crew, do you think he's not ready at all 1,000%? And if so, why? Let us know in the comment section down below, and while you're down there, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Be like that Alexander Sasania guy down there and become a channel member here on YouTube. What a nice guy. Or you can be like BB50 or Shooter or David Campbell. All those guys down there are pretty much day oneers at this point, man. They've been around for a long time supporting the channel. Help us pump out that content daily, 11 a.m. here, as well as special episodes sprinkled in because, Ant, I don't know if they know this or not, free agency is like right around the corner.
Yeah, free agency is almost upon us, and there's going to be big decisions. And some of those decisions are going to affect the quarterback room. Jimmy Garoppolo getting traded, and then ultimately, what happens if it's Tom Brady? If it's not, then that means Trey Lance is ready to roll. So I think there's going to be some cool stuff happening. I'm excited to get into all the free agency videos that we're going to be getting into because it's not just about free agents that the 49ers have, but also about free agents that are going to be available. Maybe there's some bargain basements guys. Maybe there's some guys you can improve your roster on because we know it's all about improving your roster every year. If you just bring the same guys back like the Rams are about to do and stay stagnant, there's the potential for somebody to pass you. The 49ers were a field goal away from being tied with them and a touchdown away from winning. That doesn't seem like a team that you want to just roll back. It seems like you'd want to get a little bit better, but maybe they'll just stay the same and the 49ers can get better and overtake them. Maybe Trey Lance is that guy that's going to take them over the hump.
Could be, and Trey Lance could in fact be ready and be the key cog in the new wheel that is the 49ers and helping propel them forward. I said this with Tampa Bay after they re-signed all those players to run it back. I said, that's nice and that's great, But it means you got to do something different. You got to do something different. So you can bring all the same pieces back, but if you don't do something different and you don't stay healthy, then you're not going to be able to get it done. They didn't stay healthy. They didn't get it done. Now the Rams are doing the same thing, running it back with all the same pieces, and they're going to have to because they're not going to have enough money to bring in all the same pieces plus new pieces as well. And you don't have the draft capital to bring in new impactful players as well, but that's a different story. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see if the Niners can get it done. We'll see you on the next one, Cutback Crew. And until that time, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.